Hello and welcome back to the podcast, where today we're going to be interviewing a very special guest called Mr. Triple Podcast, also known as Mr. Podcast. So, you might be wondering, where is this very special guest? Well, he's right here. Yeah, no, he's just me. But I'll be making up a funny voice to go along with him because I figured that would be fun. I have literally nothing better to do. So this is going to be a funny little interview where I'm just interviewing myself and just rambling for a bit because I have no topic. I looked online for a bunch, could not find any. So Mr. Podcast is going to sound like, how about he just sounds like my regular voice because I don't feel like doing a funny voice right now. So, hello, I'm Mr. Podcast, and how are you doing today? Oh, me? Yes, I'm Mr. Podcast. I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, I'm doing well too, thank you. What have you been up to lately? Oh, not much. I've just been recording podcast episodes every other day by now. Like it's been like every other day because like I have reasons for not doing it the days that I don't. Like I was sick that one time for like a week, and then yesterday I didn't because like I was busy doing other stuff. I don't know. Like I have reasons for all of it. What about you? What are you up to? Well, I'm not even a real person because I'm Mr. Podcast. So I've just been busy not existing because I've just been born today, like a couple seconds ago. So what do you like to do for fun? I like to do a lot of things for fun. I especially like interviewing people. That seems to be what I like doing. I also enjoy talking a lot. You know, enough to start a podcast with 30-minute episodes. My God. But yeah, it's kind of what I like. It's kind of what I enjoy doing. I like recording myself. Apparently, I don't like the recording myself part, but I like the talking part because just the talking just lets me get things out. Like I just get to say things, and then people hear it, and then maybe no one hears it. That's fine too. I'm fine with no one hearing this, because then. What's the point of this anyways? Okay, also, if you noticed last episode, it's like 7 minutes longer. There's like a bunch of empty space at the end. I don't know how to remove that in YouTube's editing, but I just didn't look over the video when I was editing it. There's like no editing to do, so it's like, why'd you miss that? Because there's so little, I missed it, and so now there's like a long space at the end. Because last episode was exactly 30 minutes, whereas the one before about social media was like longer. It was like 37 minutes. So, yeah. So there's like a bunch of empty space. Anyways, I'm going to look up how to interview people because I actually have never done this before. How to interview people. Hopefully, the internet can give us answers. The internet can give us information about how to interview people. How to interview someone for a job. Indeed.com. This seems like a reliable site. So, how to interview someone. Interviews are an integral part of the hiring process. Hiring managers and interviewers should take up the time to truly understand the interviewing process as well as the components that go into an effective interview. Asking the right questions during a job interview can significantly increase your chances of hiring the right person as well as reduce wasted time and money. In this article, we discuss why your interviews are important as well as the steps you can take to conduct a successful interview. So far, this seems pretty positive. I don't like that. I like hating on the article. So first off, it says why are interviews important? We don't really care. Set aside at least 30 minutes for each interview. I think we got that covered. We set aside exactly 30 minutes for this interview. Do your research on your candidate? I know everything about my candidate. I've known him since the day he was born. What's the point of an interview if you know everything about him? That's kind of useless. Have all the information available. Know what you're looking for, potential employee. Oh, employee. I don't want to hire him. I just want to talk. WikiHow.life. How to interview someone. WikiHow. I'll be prepared to do some background research. Again, stupid. Conducting the interview. So those are the general questions, okay? How many years have they worked at their last company and why she's leaving? So, Mr. Podcast, how many years have you worked at your past company? Well, I have never had a past company. So, some might say I've worked around 0 years, 0 months, 0 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Oh, okay. Why did you quit your last job? Well, I didn't quit my last job because I didn't have a last job. My last job I ever had was being born, and that pretty much took me my whole life up to that point, so That was a big struggle. But luckily I'm here now, so. What next? Ask behavioral questions. Make your questions skill specific. For example, say, tell me about a time when you used creativity to come up with a solution to a puzzling marketing problem. Okay. Mr. Podcast. Tell me about a time when you used creativity to come up with a solution to a puzzling marketing problem. Well, Mr. Podcast, I have never used creativity to come up with a solution to a puzzling marketing problem. No, to come up with a solution to a marketing problem, the best strategy is to abuse the hell out of social media. Make a social media account for like every possible social media available, and just put your business onto every single one so it reaches as many people as possible. That literally always works. It never fails. Name one time it has failed. You can't. Next question. If you just say, are you creative, you might not end up with an answer that reveals the information you need. Okay, Mr. Podcast. Are you creative? No. Oh, thank you. You're not hired. See, that's how it should be. That's how it should go. So, ideally, the interview should go like this. Hello, Mr. Podcast. Are you good enough for me to hire you for this job? And then he goes, hello, Mr. Podcast. No, I am not qualified to do this job. Then I say, okay, Mr. Podcast. You will not be hired. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. And that's how it goes. Unfortunately, this is how it goes sometimes. Hello, Mr. Podcast. Should I hire you? Yes. Oh, are you a liar? Yes. And then you never know what the truth is because they could be lying. Sometimes they're big liar pants. Another question, it says, behavioral questions tell you a lot. It doesn't say any question exactly. Put them on the spot. Some interviewers like to ask a few questions that make the candidate uncomfortable to see how the person handles stress. If this kind of situation is going to be encountered on the job, you might as well know if the candidate is going to crumble. Why should we hire you? Is a classic stressful question. Many candidates prepare this one beforehand, though, so you might want to make it a bit trickier by saying, I don't see you having any experience writing press releases. What makes you think you're the right person for a PR position? Asking the candidate probing questions about why he or she is no longer with the previous company also gives the person the chance to either shine or buckle under a little pressure. Uncomfortable hypotheticals such as, what would you do if you witnessed a colleague demonstrating unethical behavior can also be useful. Alright. Mr. Podcast. What would you do if you witnessed a colleague demonstrating unethical behavior? Hello, Mr. Podcast. What I would do is tell you. Oh, perfect. That's exactly what I would do too. I would also tell myself. So I think that kind of puts us in a perfect position where he's pretty much the perfect person. Okay, but we're going to ask another question that says here, Mr. Podcast. Why should we hire you? Hello, Mr. Podcast. You should hire me because you have no one else. You are alone. You're sitting in a room alone, and you have no one else to talk to, except for me, which is just you shuffling your chair to the other side of the microphone. Oh, okay. Well, now you've made me upset. Let's conduct a performance review. Next question. Give the candidate a chance to answer the question. Most people prepare a list of intelligent questions to ask the interviewer, so be prepared to give some answers of your own. If the candidate says, I don't have any questions, that in itself is revealing. You might question how engaged the person is with the prospect of working for your company. Okay, so if you're being interviewed, always ask the interviewer questions. Okay. Have specific details ready to relay to the candidate. Hours, benefits, salaries, specific job duties, and other information can come up. So make sure you have answers ready, even if the answer is, we'll discuss that later. So, Mr. Podcast, have any questions for me? Yes, I have plenty of questions for you. The main question is, how much money will I be making? Well, Mr. Podcast, we will discuss that later, after you're hired, and after you sign a contract to not leave us. Oh, okay. Do you have any more questions? Yes, I have another major question. How long does the contract say I have to work here for? We'll discuss that later. You will know that once you sign the contract. I don't think that's legal. I think you have to I think I have to know what I'm signing the contract for in order to be contractually obliged to it. This is not a real contract. It's a fake contract that we made up, but it still has real rules because we talked to the government about it beforehand. We asked Mr. Government if we're allowed to make up our own rules for our contract, and Mr. Government said yes. What do you think about that, Mr. Podcast? Well, frankly, Mr. Podcast, this makes this job seem really unappealing, and to be honest, I don't want to work here, at all. Well, Mr. Podcast, you have to work here. You already signed the contract when you came in. What? What are you talking about? When you signed in, you walked through a door, did you not? Yes, I walked through a door. What does that have to do with anything? Well, you see, the door has a little pin on the end of the door. And when you opened the door and you pulled it open, the pin signed a little sheet of paper that we had underneath the door frame that was hidden from view. So you actually already signed the contract that we made up the whole time. In fact, the contract says you're stuck in here for another, 20 minutes? 19 minutes? Oh no, what am I to do? Well, don't worry, Mr. Podcast. There's only one way for you to get out of this horrible contract. Oh? What could it possibly be? Well, if you get a true love's kiss, then you'll be able to break free of this terrible curse. Oh my, thank you. All I need to do now is find my true love. Well, there's going to be one big problem with that, Mr. Podcast. Your contract says you're trapped here in this room, meaning there is no chance for you to find true love. Mwahahaha. Oh no, Mr. Podcast. Is there any way for me to find true love in this room where there's only the two of us and no one else listening? No, I'm afraid there is no way for you to find true love here. Oh shoot. Well, what do you recommend? I recommend you get to work yeah. But how long does this contract say that I have to last? We'll discuss that later. But you said I get to know once I sign the contract. No, I said we'll discuss that later. That seems rather unfair, doesn't it? It seems unfair, but in actuality, this is business. Business is business, and you kind of gotta accept it. No! What if I find true love? Well, if you get a true love's kiss, then you can leave, yes. What are the odds of that? Can you tell me the odds? This is my question to the interviewer. What are the odds of me getting a true love's kiss in a space where there is only the two of us and you have no intention of wanting to kiss me ever? Well, the odds of that are, well, to be honest, quite low, but not zero. What do you mean it's not zero? If you can find a way to get something in this room to love you and kiss you, then you can break free of this terrible curse. Oh my, that sounds like a blast. Can't wait to get started. Anyway, so what is my job? Well, what's your job? Your job is just talking to me. It's pretty easy, actually. Oh, it is pretty easy. I've been doing it this whole time. Am I going to get paid for this? Oh, absolutely. This is your job, after all. It would be illegal by the government, man, if we didn't pay you. Oh, joy. How much am I getting paid? We'll discuss that later. Only after... We'll discuss that once you get your true love's kiss and you finally leave this wretched place. Oh, okay. I can't wait for that to happen. When do you think that'll be? I think it's going to be around 5 past. Never. Oh no, that sounds like a strangely long amount of time. Is there any way for me to speed up the clock to reach never? Yes, actually. There's a way to make the clock reach never. Break the clock. The clock is your escape. You are living in magical world. Break the clock, and you shall be free. Oh my! I can't wait to break free from the terrible Mr. Podcast curse. Oh, okay. I will grab the clock. I am Mr. Podcast, the interviewee. I grab the. Actually, wait. Where is the clock? I don't see a clock in sight. Well, Mr. Podcast, I am Mr. Podcast, and that is where I tell you the true secrets of the land. There is no clock after all. I destroyed every clock in sight. You have no idea what time it is. Wait, what are you doing? I am just looking at my phone to see what time it is. No, you're not allowed to do that. We confiscated your phone on the way in. You didn't take into account that I have 2 of them. What? No way! Where'd you get 2 of them from? I got the second one by robbing the phone store. I robbed the phone store, so now I got a second phone. What did you even need a second phone for? In case you stole my first one. I heard this place likes stealing people's phones, so I got a second one in advance. No! So now do you know what time it is? Absolutely I do. I'll simply look at my phone clock. Wait a minute, where'd my second phone go? Oh, looks like you didn't expect us to steal your second phone as well. What? But that wasn't in the contract. And how would you know? You read the contract that was hidden from your view? I admit the truth, Mr. Podcast. You have X-ray vision. Yes, I have X-ray vision. That is what happened. That is the truth. I have X-ray vision. There's no other possible explanation. Ignores looking at the contract that's right on the floor and behind the interviewer. Okay, so what do you... And X-ray vision people are not allowed to be legally a podcaster because podcasts do not require seeing things. All it requires is hearing things. Put on your headphones, Mr. Podcast. We're going for a ride. Oh my, what kind of ride are we going for? We're going for a very, very, very long ride at Disneyland. And at Disneyland, we're gonna go on those stupid little in those the strawberries where you twist the thing in the middle and it makes you spin. I think they're teacups in Disneyland though. Oh boy, that sounds like lots of fun. What if I find my true love at Disneyland? Oh, there's no need to worry about that, Mr. Triple Podcast. I made sure to buy out every possible ticket on this day for the Disneyland. What? How'd you do that? That must have cost you millions. Yes, it did humiliate me, but that's okay because it was totally worth it in order to see you suffer. What did the ticket buyer person say when you bought all these tickets? The ticket buyer person doesn't know the truth. I registered an online account under 50 different names and I had them all walk up to the ticket buying place and order tickets. No way! You would never do such an evil deed. How'd you get away with this? I didn't. You caught me, red-handed. Or should I say, you were in my trap the whole time. I press the button and reveals that we were in Disneyland the whole time. We were just in an interview box. What the fuck? What? We're in Disneyland? Yes, and we were on the roller coaster the whole time already. Whoa, I never felt being on I never felt the roller coaster. What do you mean you never felt? Of course you didn't feel the roller coaster. You're on a chair, idiot. Doesn't the roller coaster go upside down? Yes, it goes upside down. What point are you trying to make? If it goes upside down, wouldn't I just fall off when it goes upside down? I'm not attached to the chair. Oh, are you now? Try standing up. Mr. Podcast, try standing up. Oh no, what have you done to me? It looks like you're glued to the chair. Or should I say, chaired to the glue? That doesn't even make any sense. What are you trying to say? I'm saying that you're glued to the chair like a complete buffoon. So what are you planning on doing now, you silly Willy? I don't know. Now that we're in Disneyland, I can make my escape. Mr. Podcast runs away out of Disneyland and tries to leave. Oh no, you're not going anywhere, Mr. Triple Podcast. I'm gonna call the police. Oh, perfect. Then I can tell them that you're taking me hostage. But you signed a contract. You legally have to. Contracts are for losers. Do you know what isn't for losers? Actually, going to Disneyland. I'm going to leave Disneyland and I'm going to go to California Adventure like a real man. No, I did not buy out all the tickets in California Adventure. That would be such a bad thing to do, I say, in a very, what's it called? In a tone that which you think I'm telling the truth. Very truthful tone or whatever. Oh, okay. Bye-bye, haha, loser. And then I run to California Adventure. No, what am I going to do now? I say, left behind. As I watch my master plan unfold, because I have secretly bought all the tickets in California Adventure as well. What you gonna do now, Mr. Triple Podcast? No, I say, as Mr. Triple Podcast, as I become now trapped inside of the room of the California Adventure. The whole park gets trapped in a big cube. I stand on the outside as Mr. Podcast. Ha 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 ha! You in my trap. What are you gonna do about it? As Mr. Triple Podcast, I think you failed to notice who's on the inside and who's on the outside. It is me on the inside of this cube of awesomeness, and you who's on the outside. And it seems you have bought all the tickets, as I've expected. Now I will proceed to enjoy all these rides alone. No, you're so evil. Why would you do that? Well, you're the one who trapped me in the big box in the California Adventure, so I don't know if I'm like the evil one here. Well, you fool, you seem to miss one crucial detail. These boxes' walls close in on you every second. You haven't noticed but apparently the big roller coaster at the side of the map has already been devoured. What? Devoured by the box? How? There's no mouth. You might think there's no mouth, but I actually installed a secret mouth on the roof! Now the roof has a big mouth on it, and it's going to eat you next when it comes up to you. No, how long do I have? You have till very long. Not very long. Until you get a true love's kiss. Then you can break the curse. Oh my, I have to find someone to commit true love's kiss to in order to get out of here. Oh man, what are you gonna do? Do you have any plans to get out? Yes, I do. I reach towards the wall as I pull out a big metal sheet. With this metal, I will use it to break the wall. I'll build a hammer out of metal and break the metal wall. I don't think you can do that. I don't know if that works. I don't think that works. If anything, that'll just dent the metal. I highly doubt that it'll break the metal wall. That doesn't make any sense to me. Well, actually, I think you fail to consider the reality of the situation. I am smart and you are stupid. I'm inside, you are on the outside. Let's say I play this, what's this? Uno reverse card. That puts me on the outside and you, where is it? Yes, on the inside, just as I planned. What? No, you're so evil. What am I supposed to do now? Well, you only have one choice left to make. Maybe you can get your true love's kiss for once, or you can face death. No, I would. Which option would I choose? I would choose the option that doesn't mean total death. Then that means you must get a true love's kiss. But there's no one in here. What am I supposed to do? All it says is California Adventure all over the place. That is the trick. You have to make your own adventure. It's like those stupid choose your own adventure books when you were 3 years old. There's like one of those, but in a cooler condition. Oh no, I choose the true love's kiss path. You might have thought that was the best path, but that is in fact the stupid person path, because that is not a path at all. There is no one to true love kiss to. Ha ha ha! You are trapped in the middle box. Forever, not forever, until I eat you, which is coming fairly soon. No! You have failed to consider the fact that I was the one who built this box. You only simply had the Uno reverse card. I have the button to stop the machine. Good. Press the button. I don't think you know what you're saying. This button? It stops it forever, as in it'll never move again. Once I press it, it has no chance of killing me, you fucking imbecile. Yeah, I know what it does. I built that button. But I don't think you realize that once you press it, well, you already have pressed it, that now you're trapped inside forever. You have no chance of ever leaving. You will never be killed. You will leave forever in a state of, no, I don't want to live in a constant state of, because now I'm just going to live it forever until I die. Exactly, and you'll soon die from the lack of water. You may think there's a lack of water, but you don't remember the, what's this so stupid? The game, the water game. Insert water game from California Adventure here. Oh, you thought I failed to consider that? Well, you run out of food as well. You will die in a matter of days. 3 days to be precise. 3 to 10, I don't remember. Oh, you think there's no food here? I would like to introduce you to insert California Adventure food here. What? No way! How'd you get this food from all the way in there? Well, there's like a concession stand. Where'd all the workers go? You bought all the tickets, but like there's always workers here too. Yeah, I paid all the work. I paid all the workers to leave. Oh, I'm Mr. Podcast. I'm on the outside of the container right now, and I'm just saying, well, have fun in there with no one in there. No! What am I going to do? Ha ha ha. He doesn't realize that I did not build a roof so I can climb out the top by using the roller coaster and just jumping off at the peak height. I go on the roller coaster and try to jump off at peak height. Says Mr. Triple Podcast, knowing what's going to happen next. I try to jump off as Mr. Podcast, but something happens. The auto safety! I get trapped. I'm now trapped on the roller coaster until it comes to a complete stop. With the sign that forces me to keep my hands and feet inside the tram at all times. No! I'm trapped in this park forever! Ha ha ha. You will never leave my amazing contraption that you made. I do believe the contraption, because I am right here. What are you gonna do now? Leave? I feel like you don't remember what you're doing. You are in a roller coaster, and the roller coaster, coincidentally, has a pen on the end of it. You may be thinking that you're just having fun on the roller coaster the whole time, but in actuality, you are signing a contract to me that sells your soul to me. So now I control you, and the only way to get out of that is to get a true love's kiss. What? So now we're both contractually obligated to get a true love's kiss or face the consequences? Yes, but you're already facing the consequences. I own your soul, and I could make the soul say, no more true love's kiss. What has happened? I have a minute left to just fuck around. Well, Mr. Podcast, judging from this interview, you'd make a great addition to the team. Welcome. We'd be glad to have you on a different episode. Oh, thank you, Mr. Podcast. I'll be sure to return someday. Make sure to introduce me that day. The return of Mr. This episode is going to be called Podcast Episode 7. How to interview or something like that. It's just me, just role playing with myself essentially. That's doing nothing important. It's just stupid. It's just the stupidest thing. Yeah, I'd be glad to come on another episode one day. Oh, we'd love to have you. You're a perfect fit. You're hired, by the way. I don't know if I said that yet. To all those viewers at home, a very important step of the hiring process is actually saying you're hired. Without that, they wouldn't know that they'd be hired. So, with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in like 2 days or something. I don't know. See you soon. Maybe next time I'll just... Do you have any if you have any topic ideas, just comment them. I don't have any. Anything you want to hear my opinion on? I have opinions. No, sometimes I don't have opinions on everything, but yeah, I'll see you soon.